Well, I'm interested. I'm interested to see if we have just confirmed the silver bottom. We have touched this price point numerous times, and I think it's possible that we may be at that place we call bottom. Anyway, let's look at the charts real quick, guys. I'm going to show you as I just began to look at the charts for the price of silver. It is apparent that it is trying to do something. It's trying to look. It's looking like a nice little bounce here. But yeah, we basically bottomed out again on the silver. Remember back in January, let me see if I can actually pull it up here. Right here when we were at the, do these move? Right here when we were at the $90 range, the Lord spoke to me and told me that we would see silver down in the $60 range. So that being said, then he actually showed me where it was going to go up to from here. So I know, and I've been living on a promise that silver is going to go up to a certain price point. Now, of course, you guys know that the particular price points that I see in my dreams anymore, I only share inside my private community, which, of course, you're welcome to be a part of, which is in the description section below. But I just, once again, when I got on my phone to kind of give my, to give the markets a final glance over, I saw silver trying to do something, and I thought to myself, I've been waiting for silver to try to do something. Now, please understand, if you take a look at the screen, this little, what I'm talking about in it doing something is just this little maneuver right here, guys. Okay, not a whole big craziness going on, but when you understand that we've been waiting for the bottom to be confirmed, okay, I saw the $60 range. In fact, if you go back to my original prophetic word or my prophetic dream, this was obviously an incredible bottom for a long period of time. Then there was, I think, two other men of God that actually saw it at the exactly $55. And so that's what we're looking at right there, is this next support. $60 was obviously a very what it hit. I actually had felt like this was even a fulfillment when it was like 64, because remember when it was up 90 some dollars and God said it was going to drop down to $60 range. Boom. And of course, that's always a great bottom to catch if you are going to catch any of that run up, right? Because that was, my gosh, over 40% run up from there. But then you have this one, another bottom right here. And that one was another 40% run. That was 44%. This last one here, before it broke through, that would have been a 16% run. But nonetheless, we're looking for, really a confirmed bottom here. And so it did break through the $60 range, but then it bottomed out, apparently, officially at $55. We'll see if this confirms. But what I like to see is that it hit here a couple of times back on June 24th. So just about a month ago, not even a month. And then again on June 25th, it hit it again. We haven't revisited that until the 16th of July, where it's been basically testing. And honestly, when it works that support and resistance line, it's basically trying to make a decision. And once the decision's made, normally it will actually go, uh, pretty aggressively in one direction or another. Now, we've seen fake outs before, but right now, this is a nice little run up, guys, because it's like 3.25%, 3.25% since the markets opened 6 hours ago. Since the markets opened 6 hours ago. So that's pretty sweet of a little run there. So I'm looking to see what's going to happen today. Keep an eye on silver. But please remember that based upon what I've been shown, please hear me out. I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not your financial guru either. I am my DeFi guru, and I've now transitioned into precious metals, apparently. But here's what I want to say to you, that no matter where because remember, this is my journey that I'm sharing, whether you purchased at $64, which I did, or whether you purchased at $57, or whether you purchased at $54, anywhere in this range is going to be golden. I started buying when it got down to $64 because after it had come back, I can't remember where we were originally. Maybe it was here. No, I don't think it was March. I think it was about here when it started going up again, and it was up in the $70 range. And I started praying, and I said, Lord, let me get another shot down at silver at the $60 range. And sure enough, when it started coming down, I started buying when it was at 64. And then I've been buying in layers as it's even come down lower. And so I've bought a few times into silver, and I'm just letting you know that, for me, whether you bought at 64, whether you bought at, $60, whether you bought at 57, or if you were able to catch the bottom so far at 54, then I think you're doing great, especially with what the Lord has shown me. And so because I've seen where it's going. Now, I've heard other prophetic voices even sharing prophetic price points of where they think that the top is going to be. And I didn't even quite see as high as what they saw, but that might be because God is showing me the next resistance. And so I'm going to get out there because I'm simply going with what God has showing me. And whether I see the absolute tops or absolute bottoms, that's the number one thing in trading that they teach you if you're using chart technical analysis, is that you need to always be disciplined to be comfortable selling high and buying low. Do not get taken by the discouragement or the disappointment or the shoulda, woulda, coulda, because you weren't quite at the top or weren't quite at the bottom. That will mess you up. I had a guy in my private community the other day. He was like, yeah, I took profits. He's like, but dang, I wish I would have, known that it was going to go as high as it did. And I said, you can never be disappointed when you take profits. You have to maintain that conviction, because the moment you start telling yourself that is the moment that you don't take profits the next time, because you're waiting for the big pie in the sky. And then on that time, you don't do what you know is the right thing to do and take profits and stay disciplined. And then you end up messing up. You can never go wrong taking profits, guys. Please understand that. That being said, remember how I told you silver looks like it's trying to do something today? Okay. Okay. It's gone up a little. It's done that here too. Like on this day, on July the 9th, it went up as high as 4.5%, right? My point is this, guys. It's doing a little something. I'm liking the action. I'm liking what appears to be the bounce off of the 55, 50, even $54 range. But here's the deal. I still believe, based upon what I've seen, that $57 even would be an incredible entry. Do you hear what I'm saying? You don't have to do anything that I'm saying, or even interpret this as a recommendation. This is just my personal conviction, my personal belief, because I happen to believe in prophetic dreams. That is ridiculous to some people. That type of, foolishness is absolutely absurd to some people. I know. I'm just not those people. The scripture says, I am a peculiar people. I would rather stay peculiar. And I've been very much enjoying this journey, and I've been very much enjoying sharing what I've been seeing with others for the purpose of those others doing what the scripture says. Test all things. Test all things. And what that means is you can determine the validity, or what you think would be the validity, based upon your spiritual insights as well, to determine if you believe anything that I'm seeing is accurate or, inaccurate, or, what have you. And the scripture is very clear on this. In fact, I was on the phone with a man today that I was talking to, and I was explaining to him that I absolutely believe in prophets of God that lead God's people, even in specific times and seasons, and that I esteem those people for their calling and for their purpose. One of those people is Apostle Joshua Giles. I was actually sharing with somebody today how blessed I have been by the ministry of Apostle Joshua Giles. I was sharing with a few people today. And the reason why is because some of the things that God has shown me over the past several years, there has been none other than Apostle Joshua Giles, who has literally spoken almost every one of these things from his apostolic, standpoint, releasing the word of the Lord and commissioning the body of Christ, those who are obviously graced to hear. And it's been extraordinary what I've received as far as the encouragement and the prophetic confirmation and his instructions that he's hearing from God about how God is leading many in the earth today. and he would share the examples of what God is doing with many in the earth today. And all of them were the exact things that God was causing me to do. That some people have actually even emailed me in the ministry and have said, what type of, um, uh, ministry abandonment have you, gotten into? You're aborting your calling. You're missing God. You're doing this. And it's like, why? Because you've always envisioned that I was this way and you didn't ever know that I was also this other way. Well, God knew and God ordained it. And now God is having me walking in a grace that you don't understand. So your season for catching and gleaning from the ministry is probably over unless you begin to ask questions and you begin to inquire of the Lord and say, God, what is going on that I myself might not be understanding or seeing or what have you? And that is where understanding comes from. God sent Gabriel the angel to Daniel in the book of Daniel chapter 10. And Daniel, I'm going to try to speak English today. Gabriel the angel told Daniel, he said, Daniel, from the moment you set your heart to understand, God sent me to you. The angel was dispatched by God to Daniel because he had set his heart to understand. Many today don't ever set their heart to understand. All they do is make judgments and criticisms of others about a matter that they know nothing about because they've never postured their heart to lend an ear, to seek understanding, to inquire beyond their current box. Man, that's such a powerful word. And here we are today, guys. Here we are today. I'm excited to see where silver goes from here. I hope you are too. I told you I've bought ever since it started at 64. Right here. Right there. I'm going to go ahead and draw that out. I'll just do this right here. I have basically bought this whole range. So if we were to shrink this up, I want you to see what that looks like. Somebody say, buy it up. Buy it up. Buy up all of that real estate. Buy up all of that property. Because all this property right here is going to become worth an unknown price that I am not going to necessarily disclose out here because I'm not doing price points. But as you could see, it's going to move up. And so this real estate that I have purchased, I am going to be very, very pleased with my decisions in the coming days because of what God has shown me. Now, please understand, guys. Please understand. I like it. I like it. Accumulate. That's right. That's right. Accumulate that real estate. We are purchasing real estate. Now, what I like about silver is that it comes in many forms. I got the physical silver, the type that you can bury in your backyard, the type that You can store in a safety deposit box. The type that you can even store at an insured, audited facility on your behalf directly from the company. Or you can buy digital silver at a 1-to-1 price point, or you can buy a leveraged digital silver where it's a 2-to-1 price point, meaning every dollar it goes down, you lose 2. Every dollar it goes up, though, you gain 2. And so all 3 of those variations, guys, are available inside the description section below. You can click the links and it'll actually give you which is which is the 1-to-1, which is the 2-to-1, which is the physical. They're all there. And of course, if you want to be a part of the private community, guys, jump on in. The last thing I want to talk about real quick before I jump off is do not forget the parasitic cleanse and the detox that I'm doing. Remember last year, I was on this regimen through a holistic practitioner, and I was extremely amazed at her level of understanding, and have been to date, because I've asked a lot of questions, even pertaining to this new cyclosporiasis, whatever parasite that's going around that's causing all of this explosive madness of people going to the restroom. And I asked her about that. She said, yep, we do specific testing for that category of parasites, and which that does indeed fall within. And she said, and this actually does deal with that as well specifically. I said, golden. And I was already thinking about getting back on it, because last year I never finished the cycle. I only did 4 months and a week, and it was a 6-month cycle. And what's crazy is, though, is I went for my annual physical 6 months later, and my blood sugar was normal for the first time in 8 years. 8 years. And it was because I had rid my body of the toxins and what many people do not understand of as parasites that Americans have, that the American medical practice does not have a level of education to even deal with the level of parasites that most other countries deal with. We only deal with certain parasites that, are visible in your stool or what have you in the United States. It's unfortunate. I hate to say it, but that's a fact. And there are a lot of health practitioners that will teach you these things and tell you about this stuff. Now, I'm not a health practitioner, so you can't accept this statement as some sort of medical advice. However, I was amazed, because I've done just about everything to try to add supplementation to my diet, to health. I've done a lot of even, detoxes, forms of detox, but I've never done such a systemic detox as this. And it deals with every major part of your biology, lymphatic system, endocrine system, all these different things. And so, and each month targets a different section or sections. One deals with even breaking the blood-brain barrier, all sorts of different things. And it's very intense. I actually put the detox regimen into AI. And I asked AI if there was any comparable product line out there that did the same things as this does, that, either A, could be cheaper, or there was a couple of things I was looking for. And it said no. AI said there's nothing out there that deals with all the different areas of the body that this does. That was impressive. AI doesn't know everything nowadays, but it definitely can scan the internet of all, because what it does is it knew all of the ingredients in these supplements, and it knew what they targeted. You can ask AI nowadays, like, can you tell me what all the specific, things that this would be in the area of, anti-parasitic or detox or whatever, the different parts of the body that it specifically targets, all that stuff. And so I was very impressed to see that AI said that there is nothing out there that compares. And that's why every major holistic practitioner in the country, not all of them, obviously, but many of them do offer or can be representatives of this particular product. Now, I'm not saying that you can look at any holistic doctor around you and find this stuff. I'm saying that if you look on their website and find, a physician or whatever, there's definitely some in your area. That's what I mean by that. However, this particular practitioner that I'm, offering you, if you opt in, there's the information in the description section again. But if you opted in, I would connect you with Bree, who is the holistic practitioner that deals with this stuff. It's a free consultation. There is no charge. And if you get the general regimen that I'm on, then you only pay for the supplements. And that's how she gets paid, is because she gets a, practitioner's account with them, where when you order, they pay her out of your purchase price. And you don't pay any inflated price, because I've researched this online as well, and you cannot get it anywhere cheaper. I'm telling you, I do all of that when I present this stuff to my people. So if you're interested in that, guys, I don't know what it could do for you, and I don't know what it can't do for you. I'm not telling you it's going to heal your blood sugar or anything like that, but I'm telling you right now, she told me, because I've had people, as I've been talking about this, and as the prophets of God have been talking about various parasites. In fact, I talked to her last year. She's not even a Christian per se. And I told her about, I believe in prophets, and they've been talking about parasites that are coming and, in our food specifically. And so now I'm reaching back out to her a year later, asking her if this particular stuff deals with this particular parasite that's now in our food. And so, it's interesting how it's obviously fast forwarding to exactly what we had been talking about. But I asked her, when I've talked with other people who have various, sicknesses, some Crohn's disease, some all sorts of different things. And I've been asked, does it help with Crohn's disease? I'm like, I don't know. I asked the practitioner, does this help with Crohn's disease? She says, let me just put it to you like this. Because oftentimes health practitioners, there's actually legalities involved here where they can't actually promote certain things that have not been FDA approved. You understand how that works? It's a corrupt system, guys. I'm going to tell you right now. And so they won't give you natural stuff that as FDA approved. FDA doesn't approve anything natural, guys. It's all done in a lab. That's all. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I'm going to get off that. And so we were talking about that today, actually, after church, because they learned that, all this acid reflux stuff that they give you to treat acid reflux actually makes the problem worse. The sinus decongestant like Afrin that people use to decongest their sinuses, it's the worst thing for your sinuses because it actually creates even further of a problem. This is the FDA, folks. I'm so sorry. I said I was going to get off that, didn't I? This is the FDA. That is wow, it's crazy. It's so bad. It's so bad. So anyway, she says to me, let me just put it to you like this. She says, oftentimes we, put people on this regimen of detox and anti-parasitic. And she says, and oftentimes a lot of their symptoms just magically disappear. That's what she said. The symptoms Symptoms, not disease, not illness, not sickness. Because remember, cannot be promoted to treat, diagnose, cure, or disease or illness, right? All right. Symptoms. Symptoms magically disappear. All right. So, man, I was so blessed when I went and got my annual physical. I wasn't even thinking about it. And they were like, and I'm always looking for certain levels to get better. And my, I was blown away. And I was like, what did I do differently? And I thought about it and I was like, wow. The most significant thing that I did was that detox cleanse. And all the other things that I had done were, either the same or modified versions of things that I've already done before that never did anything. So I was like, that's great. That is really good. If I would have known back then, I would have completed my 6-month regimen. So I'm restarting it. And I'm going through another. So I'm on it. I'm on it now. And it's incredible. In fact, I was with a minister today who was also trying these bamboo sole, things from the bottom of your shoe. And it basically extracts toxins from your lymphatic system through your feet, apparently kind of like those, foot baths, those ionic foot baths or whatever. But this stuff is, he says it really, really works. It's they show me a video of the foot pads after, a short period of time. And there was definitely toxins that came out. It's just amazing how much is in our bodies that we don't know has been stocked up of stuff that we really need to, be getting rid of. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you guys. Let me know if you're interested in the description section below. What else? And the beef, the prophetic words about the beef. There's going to be a mass beef recall. It's still coming, guys. The Lord spoke to me last year in a dream, and he says there's coming a mass cow beef recall. And the prophet of God last week or two ago had prophesied and said that avoid meats from Walmart, McDonald's, which is very interesting because these are all the locations that I had spoke about last year. Because I believe that they would be mass produced if there was going to be a mass beef recall. So I would avoid all of the major distributors. And there is my beef contact in the description section below, guys. That's it. That's all I wanted to share. Did we just hit the silver bottom? Did we just confirm it? Obviously, time will tell. But right now, I believe, as I showed you on the charts, that I believe we're still in a great place, price point wise, to buy silver. So even though it's looking like it's trying to do a bounce, obviously there's things called fake outs, but right now it's looking really strong. The other thing that I do want to show you before I go is if we go let's see. Hold on. There it is. All right. If we go to the charts. If you guys remember this indicator, guys, it's fire. This is the Pro Trade Manager on the bottom, shows when to buy and when to sell. Everything, crypto, precious metals. And if you put it on the highest accuracy setting here, yeah. So the last one was in October of 2023 until you get to these three here that have printed in 2025 and then 2 this year. So there's only been 3 dots that have printed to buy silver in, 2.5 years, guys. 3 dots to buy silver in 2.5 years. And guess where it just printed? Right here, which was actually this what would have been potentially a confirmed double bottom on this $60 range. So, but it said to buy right here. Now, and it also said to buy right here. Okay, so it caught the bottom here. And it's got, what is it, like an 85% accuracy. But look at this. If you were to see this and caught the bottom where it printed, all right. Hello. Obviously, that would have been a 44%, 46%. Sorry, I'm not even at the top yet. Yeah, about 47% potential gain on that little swing trade there. Point is, is that oftentimes it'll print, and then yes, it can go lower. But basically, historically, and theoretically, the goal, the goal is it told you to buy here, is that it will go up. And now, if you understand how these things work, it's basically telling you that it expects the price to go up. You could see how it did here, and it went up. You could see how it did here when it told you to buy before, and it went way up. Okay. We could just keep going and keep following the journey of these indicators. By the way, once again, these indicators are in the description section below. This one I'm referring to is called the Pro Trade Manager. We're going to have to expand this now once we're getting in here. But right here, it basically said to buy. And then you've got another 24%. Okay. But it didn't even print the sell yet. So it could have gone even higher. Right? Boom. And then it told you to sell right about there. So 32%. All right. On that one, just, and you don't have to wait for it to print the sell to sell. These are just indicators, right? But look at how it catches the bottom every stinking time. Look at this. Every green dot is a new bottom, right? Every green dot is a new bottom. It's just such a and here's another example right here. This would be what I would consider a good example of what took place that's taking place right now. See how it printed, but then it went lower? But look at what happened, guys. 30% gains. It told you to buy here. It went lower. You could have got scared. You could have got freaked out. You could have said this indicator stinks, right? And then you would have missed all that. These indicators are just straight fire. Here's another one. It told you to buy here, and it went actually down even further. But then when it went down, it told you to buy again. And see, sometimes it'll give you multiple, because it's basically saying that the probability is that it's going to go up. So it even went up from there. So we could just keep following this. Here's another one it printed. Boom. Okay. You just, these things are just fire. So remember, these indicators, they do not repaint. In other words, they don't go back in history and manipulate it to make it look good. All of that was exactly as it printed on those particular days, or that it would have printed if that indicator was installed on that day. That's what it's telling you. So it's extremely beneficial to have these things, guys. So that is the Pro Trade Manager. And this works on, we're on silver right now. This works on silver. This works on Bitcoin. Okay. You can use this on you can use this on Forex. All right. You can use this on just about anything. I'm going to show you also. If we go to Bitcoin, let me get rid of my candles. This is one of my favorite indicators right here, is the market cycle highs and lows. This tells you where we're at in the market cycle, guys, so that you can actually catch coins when they're in fear or max fear. I just, inside my private community today, I need you to hear me. Inside my private community today, I went over, inside my private community today, I went over a couple of coins, 2 coins that are in max fear right now. Max fear. And if you go back and look at historically what that means, it's just incredible. I want to show you the colors on this. All right. So the colors on this, the colors signify the cycle that you're in. Okay. You can see the red was all the tops. Okay. Orange and yellow. You could see it, the progressing: neutral, mild greed, high greed, extreme greed, max euphoria. It's basically telling you that when it gets up into these greed categories, you may want to take some profits because it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And what that means is that what goes up must come down. And so when you follow these and you know that you're in a greed season, you obviously use wisdom, take some profits, and then obviously you could see it come back down. There are times, though, when it gets into fear. Look at this. Fear and max fear. What is this right here? Fear and max fear. What was it in the market cycle? It was the freaking bottom, but I'm going to try to speak English again. It was the bottom, people. It was the bottom, people. It was the bottom, people. Okay. Do you understand the benefit of this particular indicator? It is my personal favorite. I'm just telling you, it's my personal favorite. Could you imagine? Now, if you were to expand this, guys, please hear me. If you were to expand this little tiny little, stuff right here, they would be large fluctuations. Okay. We can actually do that. Let's go ahead and expand this. Now you could see some major fluctuations here. And this is kind of like where we're at on silver right now, where let's just say it told you to buy. Let's just say it told you to buy in here. And then all of a sudden it sunk. And you're like, no, sell. People freak out and sell into a loss. You don't want to do that. Okay. And you just wait and you trust the process, and it keeps going lower, and you're sweating and you're getting nauseous and you're, having marital problems now. Okay. And so next thing you know, you sweat it out, right? And what happens, right? Because you waited patiently and you trusted the process. Look at what happened to you. Look at what happened to you. Look at what happened to you. $614% happened to you. A 6x return happened to you. Now, granted, that was from November of 2022 to September of 2025, almost 3 years. But that's the difference of being able to catch the market cycle highs and lows. Watch this. Watch this. You got it here again. Look at, okay, so you bought here in fear. You bought here in fear and greed. Okay. This is what the bull run. See this? This was the bull run of 2017. And then all of a sudden, it becomes the bear cycle. And everybody thinks, there might be another pump. There might be another pump, but it just keeps getting worse. People get freaked out and they're selling everything now. They're selling it all. And they're selling their birthright. They're selling their birthright. And then the next thing you know, what? All the wise people who have this indicator, they're buying in, baby. All right. All the wise people who have this indicator. Now, this is back in 2018 now is the bottom of this bear cycle. But remember, you're that wise guy who actually bought the fear. Okay, right here it went into max fear. This is why I love max fear, guys. Look at this. Max fear always is the last thing to happen before things go crazy. Now, I can't tell you that past results equals future success, guys. Of course not, right? Nobody can ever tell you that. But look at this and just look at what happens when you buy the fear, guys. Oh my gosh, I love this indicator, guys. This is beautiful. And what's interesting about this indicator, guys, is that it works in like all markets, and it can basically detect all different types of cycles. And so even if the 4-year cycle, even if the 4-year cycle isn't playing out the way that they have in the past, it can still read the market data using the sophisticated coding on the back end to determine where we're at. And it doesn't need to know, it's not looking like what traditional people do and saying, oh, this is based upon, 4-year cycle data. No, this is based upon the way it's reading the market. Super, super clean, man. I just am so blessed. Please don't forget that these indicators are in the description section below. And this one is called Market Cycle Highs and Lows. Market Cycle Highs and Lows, okay? So take it for what it's worth, guys. This thing, if you would have just used it blindly, like with very little knowledge, knowing that you should take profits along the way, just could have been a really great tool for you. Let's just say you put in, $1,000 here, and then all of a sudden you begin to see, this greed happening right here at these tops. Then you could potentially sell a portion of what you bought in, just a portion. And then when you sell your portion, you could take a portion of those sells and you could buy some of these dips. And then when it gets up here again into some greed, you could sell a portion again. And now you're, holding it for longer term because that back into fear and greed, it was the bottom of a cycle, not just the bottom of a month or the bottom of a day. It was the bottom of a crypto cycle. Does that make sense? And so that's important to note that you probably have, a lot of greed. Well, hold on. You probably have a lot of greed moments. 1, 2, 3, 4. This was max euphoria. You probably have a lot of moments where you can potentially read the data, take some profits, especially right here after it crossed into the purple twice. That was mild caution. Okay. It wouldn't be a bad idea if you sold here to buy here. That's kind of, common sense, sort of. And but remember, you're never trusting that just because you're buying the dips that it's going to go up further in the short term. You're actually just being okay selling here and then buying here, and then you can withhold some on the side because you're taking profits along the way. This is how you rinse and repeat this stuff, man. Anyway, we could talk more about that inside the private community where we do talk about that type of stuff all the time. All the time, guys. Yeah, it is. These indicators are very, very accurate, especially when you go back and you review the data. Okay, so the third one, and this is the final, and then I'll be done, is the third one is going to be the volume bubbles, guys. The volume bubbles shows all the major whale movement that's happening. You can actually set it to send alerts to your phone, guys. You can set it to send alerts to your phone. Look at this buy signal right here. Boom. See that? It said to buy Bitcoin right there. Hello. So, yeah, really cool stuff. All right. That being said, these volume bubbles are very, very nice because you can get alerts to tell you that there's big movement happening, whether it's in buying, whether it's in selling, and it's on every particular coin that you set it on. Silver, all sorts of different stuff. And it reads data that's not on the traditional total dollar volume indicators on these markets. So all three of these indicators are actually still offering a sale price. The coupon code is listed in the description section below. It'll take you to my website where you'll see the link and the discount coupon code. If you're in my private community, guys, you'll actually get a little bit of a sweeter discount code. But if you don't want to be inside my, if you don't want to be inside my private community, you obviously have the ability to jump in on this without getting inside the private community. Okay. It's just the creator of these indicators did me a blessing and made an extra coupon code for the people inside my private community. That was his idea. So it was a very nice gesture. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to jump off here. Don't forget. And by the way, I'll share with you one quick more item that's probably important for you to know. The two time periods that these indicators work best on is the 4-hour timeline and the day timeline. So you can obviously, people might be wondering, does this work on, 15-minute increments? The answer would be ideally, of course, you'll see it printing buys and sells, and but the highest level of accuracy, according to the creator, is that it works best on the 4-hour and the daily chart time period. Okay. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. God bless you guys. We are in the wealth transfer, guys. I do believe that we are going to see that this is the bottom or was the bottom in silver. The problem is some of you guys, in order to test that theory, are going to have to just wait. However, there are going to be those of us who are risk takers that are not going to wait, but they're going to actually partake. And that's me. I am that risk taker. And I went ahead and told you I bought silver. Actually bought a particular coin today inside my private community on a live stream because I found another coin that is a one of the actual pillars that a prophet of God had prophesied that would be a pillar coin in the coming days. And it's in max fear right now, meaning you saw what max fear means. Some people who don't understand this stuff, they're getting all caught up because they're like, you're talking about greed and greed and greed and greed and fear and greed. And they're going to be like, I'm saying they're too religious for this because they don't understand what that actually means. That's how the majority of the market trades. You ever heard of FOMO, the fear of missing out? So people try to chase the run up and then they get caught having bought the top and then the price comes down, or then they buy something and the price goes down. And so they just dump it to try to get out of it because they're afraid of losing everything. They don't have the patience, the discipline to understand that they have to wait it out sometimes. So same thing goes. Most of the market functions on these emotional traders. That's the average Joe. And that's how the house always wins, guys. But when you understand to buy the fear and sell the greed, that is when you understand that even as Jesus said in the scriptures, he says, broad is the path that leads to destruction. Think about it that way, where the majority of people are buying into the market because it's the greed, it's the bull run, and they're buying on the way up. The wise people bought it when it was at the bottom. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is how you create wealth in the markets, in any market, real estate, crypto, precious metals, stocks, Forex, you name it. This is, what's crazy is like just a few years ago, I didn't even understand what half this stuff was. I didn't even know what a Forex was. It's so amazing how much you can learn just by, getting your feet wet. So from this day forward in your life, you need to make a decision where you say to yourself, that's what I need to do. I need to buy low and sell high and then rinse and repeat. This is what everybody wants to do. Everybody who's looking to flip a house, as a fixer upper, buy it cheap, put some money into it, flip it for a profit, whatever you do in life to come up, it's always, it's particularly investing. The goal is to buy low and sell high and then rinse and repeat. If we can do this and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, you can live as an investor. The problem is not a lot of people have. Guys, I've been in this space for I guess 4 years now. I'd have to find out when it all started. In fact, I'll tell you what. Either way, it doesn't really matter. I will. Oh, what was I going to even bring that up for? What was I going to bring it up for, guys? Yeah, that's what I was going to bring it up for. I've actually searched high and low in this space, and these indicators are some of the most fire indicators I've ever seen. They are absolutely some of the most fire indicators I've ever seen, guys. They're honestly the neatest tool for someone who understands discipline and knows this is not a get rich quick scheme where you're trying to, take $1,000 and turn it into, 10, take $1,000 and turn it into $100,000, in a matter of 6 months. It's not like that. But if you give it more time, you could do that. I believe. I really do. But you'd have to have the patience, the discipline, and you get better, by the way, as you grow. You learn your disciplines as you go. The prophet of God that came and spoke at our church today, he actually talked about, people that have done things and even failed at them before, that they would succeed in this season because of what the Lord is doing for his people, and that some people may just simply need to pick back up some of the things that they've done before. That's like a cardinal rule of entrepreneurship, is that, you do not give up just because you didn't succeed once before. And as an investor, they follow the same principles as an entrepreneur. You have to take the same type of mindsets, and transition them into being an investor as you do. Man, I just love this stuff. I talked about this to my church recently, probably a year or two ago. And I said, you get all these people in Christianity, we've got drug addicts and whatever, just you name it, they've had a past. And you bring them off the streets, so to speak, and you help them have an encounter with Christ, a relationship with God, and then what? It's all about marital counseling and just all sorts of different things to continue, but nobody really teaches financial literacy in the church. And even statistically, secular psychology stats are that the majority of arguments between a married couple are over finances at the root. The majority. The number one reason. And it's like, so you could keep counseling that thing till the cows come home, but who's actually going to teach them financial literacy? Are we continuously addressing the symptoms and not actually the root? Of course, there's different ways of handling tight seasons, and you can better, manifest your soul in a way where you're, not holding false expectations over one another, and you can work together and live a more humble lifestyle, so you're not putting a strain on. All these things obviously are, but the end goal should be to try to see transformation in that area of your life, so that you don't, unfortunately, be a bondage and serve the almighty dollar. because a lot of people think that serving the almighty dollar is getting creative in learning how to make more of them. But on the flip side, I believe a big example, not all of the examples, is of serving the almighty dollar is to go to work for 12 hours a day, striving to make ends meet. That to me is serving the almighty dollar. You get people out here and they're telling me, like, you're a minister and you're always talking about money. It's better to minister to people, to teach them financial literacy, in my mind, where I'm empowering people to get creative with their methods of how they make money, rather than myself going and slaving for 12 hours a day to break even and to keep my head above water and to make ends meet. The contrast, they don't even compare. I would much rather spend my time teaching people to think differently. There's a whole arena that is coming in the days ahead of what you have. I haven't even scratched the surface on this field. Many of the visions that God gave me back in 2021 at my business class haven't even come to pass yet. They haven't even manifested yet. And what's crazy is that one of the top ones on the list was prophetic investing. And I thought that would be one of the last ones to manifest, because it just seemed like I could see it within reach. I could see it in the spirit, but I could not see it. I thought that maybe, I would be apostolic, because that's what I am as an apostle, and that I would have a company of prophets coming around a table where they would be strategizing together, and I would basically, give them, had no idea that God would be using me as a prophetic, seer for the future of the economy or economies, because that's what's been happening. Started with crypto, ended up in precious metals. I've seen let me see here. Started with Forex, sorry. Then it transitioned to crypto, precious metals, raw materials. I don't know. Energy. It's been pretty crazy. You're gonna stop, wait for. So no doubt. No doubt. Thank you, Lord. I'm reading a comment here inside my private community. Thank you, Lord. God is so good, guys. He is just so good. God is so good. All right. Well, I've given it all to you tonight. I've given you the silver, 3 different forms. I've given you the indicators. I've given you the prophetic community. I've given you the beef. I've given you the parasite and detox. It's all there in the description section, guys. So whatever strikes your fancy, it's there for the taking. Reach out for the information, unless it's already there and you can just go to it. But appreciate you watching, guys. God bless you, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.